Hey, thanks for tuning in. In this video, we're doing a weekend review for the week ending March 18th, 2022. Happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. Happy quadruple witching. It's over. You survived. Looking at a daily chart of the S&P 500. Let's get started. So we have a close above 441, right, which was this high here. We held this low here from February 24th, and the January 24th low continues to really hold. I mean, if you look at this, she closed below it just a few times back here, and ultimately recaptured. We've got the positive momentum, right? New lows in price, even the power of 3, right? If you break this up, something like this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then even one more technically, 5. Right, so A, B, C, D, E, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It doesn't really matter. I just did A, B, C because that's how it looks like to me. This just looks like an unwind, very corrective in nature. It doesn't look impulsive lower. That's not what I see. I see price coming back up to the 200, 200 sloping up. I do see that this point here in ADX, the last time they broke above this high is actually the same day. So the ADX bottomed and then curled up, starting the next run. I think that's what we're getting right here. The ADX confirms, the PPO confirms. We'll need to get above the zero line, and until they do that, until really above this level, it's possible that price could come all the way back down and just accumulate in this huge 420 range. It's also possible that this is the pattern here, something like this. Right into this 1236 extension, or the 1618, or the 1, right, at 445. So that's the setup I'm looking for here on SPY. Let's take a look at the weekly real quick. Did not close below the previous week low, closed above the previous week high, and this pivot high here at 441. Back above the 10 and the 5 on the weekly. Have not been above the 5 and the 10 really all of 2022. So they've been selling off the entire quarter, and the last 2 weeks of the quarter here, you got 2 weeks left, they started buying it up. So to me, you got to zoom out to the monthly on all these charts. You got to zoom out to the quarterly. You got to see what's going on. This is a monthly uptrend. Sorry, bears. I know there's a MACD PPO bear cross. Last few times that's happened, price has gone sideways to higher. Sideways to higher. Okay, it doesn't mean much. It means that a pullback to the 20 or 40 is likely. We've got that. Let's take a look at IWM. Is this breaking out? It's looking like it. Right, we're at the last hurdle. Same type of setup here, the higher low setup. Is this an ABC higher, or is this the start of a 5-wave move higher? Same way you had the PPO start curling up. We're getting that curl up here, right, off of the trough. So what I'm seeing is a change in trend. The question is, will it be a sustainable trend? Will it be something that we can make money off of? Because this here, going back really January 20th, has been all sideways, no trend. So unless you were trading every 2-3 days and flipping direction completely, going the opposite way, there hasn't really been a lot of money here to be made. There hasn't been a trend to follow. Here's a downtrend, easy trend to follow. Here, no trend. And what's interesting on the weekly is she did break the previous week's low and then close back above. Recaptured the 10 and the 20, and now looking to head back to challenge the 20 and the 40. The obvious area to look for supply this week is this little gap here at 214, the candle high here at 212, and then if all of that works out, all the way up here at 227. And we're getting that 227 number from the monthly right here, the January high. And what's interesting is the price has remained in this range, in this candle, the same way it did with this candle here, March 2021. They did the same thing here, right? Been in this range for 3 months, looked below the bottom of that range at 188, went to 187, instantly went right back in, instantly captured the 20 again on the monthly, then led to a capture of the 10 and the 5. And now on the daily, you're really getting a picture of what's going on. I think this is where the rubber meets the road. We already have the higher low, and now the higher high. And the close above the top of the band generally signals a breakout. So what you want to do is use these bands to tell you when the range trading or the trend is reversing, right? We're no longer doing range trading, we're now doing trend trading. Or we're no longer trend trading, we're now range trading. We're looking for that type of information here. We're looking for expansion and volatility. We're looking for whether or not the move is within the 90 to 95% of all previous price history, which is contained by the bands, or whether or not the move is outside the band. Like here in January 18th, closed below. That's when price really accelerated to the destination. And remember, had been trading in this sideways action, right? Then closed below the band. That's what started the move. ADX wasn't even above 30 yet. But when you closed above the band, that's when it started to rip higher. And you can see that with the PPO, the same positive divergence we had with S&P, you have with IWM. And now we're getting the higher high. So we'll see how this plays out. These are the levels I'm watching. I believe somewhere between 213 and 219 is the ultimate short-term destination. And what's very, very, very interesting closed 6 pennies back inside this range. Okay? So this range, which had contained price for most of 2021, that led to this false bull breakout, right? False breakout or bull trap, or look above and fail, all the same meaning in this instance. Hit the destination, got rejected here, came back down, printed a new low, came back up, set a higher low, now setting a higher high back inside the range. That to me is a bit of a tell. Again, we have this same balance area now down here, right? Now we have broken above this, which is bullish, but until above 209, this thing is still technically in balance and is coming from the bottom of the balance. So we wouldn't expect her to just waltz right through 209. That being said, how price reacts to the top of this band and EMA 5 are going to tell me what happens here. Because if this is really trend mode activated, right, we've been in a range, which is correction or balance area. If trend mode or price discovery is about to be activated, what you're going to find is EMA 5 and SMA 10 are going to take over as the demand lines for this move. And you want to look at this like a craps player rolling a hot hand, right? The same way back here, that craps player had this huge downtrend, right? The craps player has done nothing since that downtrend ended. What we're trying to watch and see is this another one of these types of moves, right? Where this ADX starts to peak, puts in higher lows on the on the lows, right? These lower highs on the peaks, and then a break of this range, the same way you had right here, right? This move. I'm thinking, or I'm seeing a contraction in range and peaks, this positive momentum divergence, and ultimately price getting back above the zero line, which is where she is now. So this sector is definitely one to watch, and the IWM QQQ spread is definitely one to watch. So we're back at the middle of the band. How price reacts is going to be very telling. But since the February low, it's been all IWM over QQQ. And since the peak here last week or so, it's been QQQ over IWM. And we'll take a look at QQQ right now. Another breakout. All right, so a lot of these charts have the same thing in common. You have these breakouts that are occurring, and this is leading towards price discovery higher. Again, is it an ABC, right? Or is this some impulse wave higher? Only time will tell. I cannot tell you that answer. No one can. All you can do is keep an open mind and follow the price action in front of you. Learn to identify momentum and learn to see when momentum is changing direction. Right now you have an outside reversal candle, just like all the other IWM and QQQ and SMH and I believe XLF and lots of names have these outside reversal candles. KWeb has it. So what that's telling us is as long as price can close above this high, the 351.79 high, this coming week, then you can anticipate 3 to 4 more candles of sideways to up action. And from this posture, right, capture the 10, capture the 5. What you want to see to start the week is a retest of the 5 and go all the way back up to 369 or the middle of the band. And if you look at the daily, that's certainly what's in play. Recaptured the 40, right? Just like IWM. So this one has been just a rocket ship higher, the same positive momentum, right? A new low, a higher low in PPO, the same, lower troughs, higher lows in ADX. All of that here is confirmed. Where do we go from here? Well, I've got hourly and daily momentum signals. What I can give everyone as just a clue here, until price can get below 336, you have to remain long and give the cues a chance to rally, because what pattern could be in play is one of these, and the 200 is the destination, if that's the case, or at least 357. So again, you're at 351. That's another 2% higher. And what I want to see is price approach these levels, then produce hourly reversal candles like she did back here. Like here's one, an outside bearish reversal. And this is one, a bullish engulfing, right? Bull flag candle. Here's one, right? So what we want to see is price come into these levels up here, then produce one of these bearish candles, get the PPO to cross, right? And then head back to the zero line and ultimately put in a higher low for our next chance to buy somewhere around end of March. Again, that is a projection. The reality is this has been in an uptrend since March 16th, right? Since the Fed spoke, all they've done is buy the dip. So you don't need to guess. What you need to do is learn to write a script. The strategy tester here in TrendSpider can do it. You scan for this, right? I've got a few of them over here. And when the market flips when the momentum flips down, and it will happen at a key level, right? On the weekly, here's a level that it could happen at 368. There's a gap up here at 380, right? It could even happen all the way up here. That phrase that the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent, it applies to this market, right? This whole move higher, that just destroyed every bear. This move lower since November has destroyed pretty much every bull. They're relentless. They're all one direction. It's not a back and forth. It's literally just, hey, even when we break the low, we close back inside. We break the low, close inside. Break the low, close inside, right? When they can't close inside, what do? They fall back to the 20. Fall back to the 20. And now they've lost the 20. So again, we don't have that trend like we did. It's gone. But what we do have is an outside reversal candle and a higher low. No, this is not a higher low. This is a low. Unlike SPY, which does have a higher low, the Qs broke the low like IWM did as well. And when you start to, add some structure to this, is this a 5-wave move down? I don't know. Again, it doesn't matter to me from where I sit. I'm going to ride this chart until I get my momentum sell alert on the hourly. I'm going to take half my trade off when that happens. And when I get the sell alert on the daily, I will be all out of this trade. Again, I think that's going to happen somewhere up here. So this is where I'm going to go on high alert to start liquidating. If price gets back up to the 200, I'm looking to take off at minimum half the position. But again, I'm letting the market tell me when I need to liquidate. Right now, I'm getting bull momentum on all these charts, right? I'm getting a reversal of trend on all of these charts. IWM, same deal, right? This one's a little bit behind because she's the laggard. Let's take a look at SMH, right? Broke out here as well, back above the 40. That same positive PPO that you have here, positive divergence, new lows, higher low in momentum. Same thing here with the ADX troughs, right? Each trough here is kind of at the same. So we're expecting a trough, meaning is this done or is it something like here, right? Where you put in this higher low, you break the higher low pattern. And as soon as you do that, that's when the ADX flips up, right? Because what you were in was this downtrend, right? This downtrend from here keeps putting in, hey, broke that high, so, but came nowhere near here. It keeps putting in lower highs. So again, I don't really know. The ADX isn't telling me much other than we don't have a trend yet, right? And you can kind of see that we had a downtrend, and that's broken. That's step one. There is no downtrend anymore. There's no trend. And so what do you want to do? You want to zoom out. Well, what's the weekly look like? A short-term downtrend, long-term uptrend. What about the monthly? Uptrend. All she did was tag the 20. I know it feels a lot worse than it is. But when she topped in November, till now, all that price did was fall back to the 20 on the monthly. And if you just look at most of these charts and use the 20 as mean or average for this distribution, meaning SMH monthly candle, like what this pattern looks like, what this distribution of candles looks like, they're all contained for the most part within these two bands, and the slope of the middle of the band, or the 20 or the average, is telling you that this is a long-term uptrend. Even during this consolidation period, the trend never flipped down. It still had a positive slope, right? So that's telling me you have to give the benefit of the doubt to the bulls, especially when price falls in here. Now, I will say, look at this PPO bear cross. When this happens here, you do get periods of consolidation where price goes sideways, PPO comes back down, has historically set a higher low, right? This is the last low down here. So a higher low relative to 938, and then marched back up trying to set a higher high. So we'll see if that happens now, but that is the setup. The setup is high probability to remain inside that candle range, 249 to 318. So the closer you get to 250, the stronger it is a buy. And this thing is breaking out and coming back to the 200 and the top of the band. And one of the leaders within here just closed above the top of the band on volume. Right? So our ADX is curling back up as we're breaking out of this range. Remember, how does a plus or minus 2 standard deviation from mean move begin? Well, it has to get outside the band. It has to get outside where 90 to 95% of all the traffic is contained. So once it gets outside, are we now outside of this downtrend? Are we outside of this balance area? Is this now a look above and go? It is. Is the momentum confirming all that? Do we have the positive momentum divergence like we did? Did we break the bear momentum divergence? We did. We set the higher low. We're now going to back above the 0 line and to either set a higher high or a lower high in momentum relative to this 893 metric. So that's how I see NVIDIA the leader here within SMH. And if this leader's breaking out, well, then SMH is likely to break out. You know, and you look around to things like with SPY too, right? SPY's breaking out. This is a downtrend, broke the downtrend. Well, what other stocks are historically leaders in SPY? Shopify. Okay, well, since Shopify corrected November 19th, she's gone straight down. Straight down. Not a single correction on the weekly. She's coming off an all-time high. And to me, this looks like a beautiful setup. Broadening formation complete into this confluence of support or demand. It's possible they come down and break this low. But again, captured the 5 for the first time since the top. I'm not in the market of guessing. What I would say is if price can come back here and hold 700, it sure as shit looks like a bottom to me, right? And especially as long as price stays above 510, it's technically a bull wedge or a bull flag pattern. On the weekly time frame, right? So meaning price can come up to the 40, should get rejected here at the 40, and then the question becomes, are they going to put in a higher low relative to this 509, 510? And given how much they've run, there's a high probability that that will happen. And the way that I'm playing this is I'm watching for the daily and the hourly charts to issue momentum sells to give me a early sign that the SPY bulls are taking a break. I use SHOP, I use ENPH to tell me what's going on with my SPY leaders. Historically, these have led SPY higher. You don't have to trust me. You can go do this yourself. Look, boom, historical outperformance, right? For ENPH versus SPY. Historical outperformance for SHOP versus SPY, except for this last downturn, right? It's been pretty ugly. So you look at names like ENPH, you look at things like, look at this. So finally got the PPO to reset negative, curled up bull cross, huge trading range, still a 5-wave move higher, or at least some ABC, and back above all the moving averages. Again, this is very, very, very bullish. And what's bearish? We had the bearish cross. We had the death cross. Hey, remember, you've heard a lot about that death cross, right? I'm sure you read about it somewhere this weekend. The death cross occurred, and that was literally the low. That was the low for ENPH, the day the death cross occurred. Okay, this is a lagging indicator. It's telling you when the 40 or the 50 cross below the 200. Well, that's going to always lag market. So let's keep it simple. You see this 20-period moving average? You see the orange 10? As long as price stays above that, we're going to assume the craps player has a hot hand and that the trend or that the fat tail distribution or that the number of days we're going to close in an uptrend is going to streak, right? So right now, we've got this uptrend that started here. These higher lows have been intact. Now the question is, will it remain, or is this some type of trap? So I'm watching EMPH very closely as one of my leaders. Let's take a look at Bitcoin for risk on, risk off. There is simply just no trend. All the moving averages are going sideways, right? The top of the band, the bottom of the band, they're just curling in. They're contracting. The momentum here is contracting. ADX is just absolutely, plummeting to zero, right? There is no trend here, okay? And if there's no trend, it means you can't make money as a bear, you can't make money as a bull, and quite frankly, you should have been out here from the crypto trade, re-entered down here, liquidated up here, waiting to re-enter down here again. That's it. That's how I view this setup. I'm not touching it until we get lower down here or we get above 45.889, because there is no trend. It's just dead money, and you have to be aware of where the money is moving. Okay, gold. Did this peak? This looks like a peak to me. I could be wrong, but that candle and that volume, right, closed 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks above the top of the band. You look at the monthly, was above the top on the monthly as well. Now has a monthly doji. We'll have to see how they close this month. Daily was above the top of the band, right? ADX peaked, PPO peaked, put in the bear cross, gave up the 20. This to me means it's over. So one of the ways that I like to tell when these plus or minus 2 standard deviation from mean moves are ending is I want to see price get back inside the band and then give up the 20. Give up the middle of the band, get rejected at it on some back test, and then now look for price to head to the opposite side of the band. So that instance would be, somewhere down here to down here. 170 to 174 is where I'm looking for gold to come. And quite frankly, this looks like a top. Need to see price put in a bullish reversal here on volume. Otherwise, this is a top from where I sit. Interesting enough, see XLE, the same sectors that were leading higher, that had these trends, right? Hey, look, we're above the top of the band. That starts, remember, this thing was inside this huge trading range, and maybe the trading range was up here, right? Gets above the top of the range, closes above the top of the band. Now everyone's in the green. That wasn't the end of the move, even though the next candle they closed back inside the band. In fact, that was the start of the move. Remember, when you're in a huge congestion area and then price breaks outside that plus or minus 2 SD from mean move, it's starting. If you break above the top in this congestion, that's the start of the move. What signals the end? We need to see at least a break of the higher low pattern, a close below, so 73.50, closed at 73.88. So even though broke the higher low, still closed inside. So first, need to get back inside the bands. Second, need to give up the daily uptrend, i.e. break the low from the previous candle and close below. And third, you need to get below the 10, if not the 20. And if you can do all of those, then the move will be over. Right now, this is still going higher. I don't see energy as a short yet. I see gold as a short. Energy could be a short, right? Could be. But that's just a bit early, in my opinion. And when you're looking around or throwing the ball around the horn, you got to look at China as well. I mean, China had one of the craziest weeks I can ever remember. Right? This thing had literally dropped 50% in 3 weeks. 50% in 3 weeks. That is pure panic and fear. You can see here a lower high on ADX relative to the last time she dropped, 30 to 50% in just 5 days. That generally leads to capitulation. Remember, close inside the band, capture the 5, capture the 10, capture the 20. That's enough for me. You have an outside weekly reversal candle on volume at the right place on the chart. That's enough for me. This is exactly what you needed to see. go below the bottom of the band, put in a monthly, weekly, daily reversal. That's what we have now in KWeb. So to me, this means the risk on assets have finally bottomed. The stocks that don't make a lot of money, that are growth stories, they may have finally bottomed. And some of the ones that I watch are like DNMR, okay? Close above last month's high is where we are. You need a monthly, quarterly pivot to reverse this type of downtrend. Notice the top happened February, March, right? That quarterly, monthly pivot. The bottom's now happening February, March, the quarterly, monthly pivot. All right. These are the names you need to keep an eye on. NNDM, is this thing bottoming as well? CGC, is this thing bottoming as well? BABA, is this name bottoming? Right? All these high risk names, ARC, are these finally bottoming? If they are, that's where you need to be looking. And you need to be avoiding gold, right? So the high risk trade could be back on the table, and that flight to safety doesn't really appear to be here anymore. I don't see the flight to gold anymore. And TLT may be bottoming, right, after breaking this low, closing back inside, maybe, but needs to close above 134.93 and make this an exhaustion gap. If they can confirm this is an exhaustion gap, head back up here, you might see something else. But quite frankly, this is just not the sector for me. I'm not seeing a flight to safety. I'm not seeing people throw their money into the bond market. In fact, I'm seeing the stocks that have historically been in very, very, very long, hard downtrends are now at double bottoms and possibly flipping up. And you have everything you need for ADX to have peaked here. The divergence in price and momentum. The double bottom setup here on MJ, right? The Alibabas, the Baidus, all these names are bottoming. And if you were short these names, I would be very cautious. And we'll just end it on that. If you like the content, hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you in the next one.